So what roles at Queens have helped guide you to what is now your career?
So when I came to Queens, I spent my first year essentially doing nothing but dancing on these speakers at stages. And my mom was like, if you're going to go to university, you're going to actually do something while you're there. So I literally walked up to the Queen's Journal, knocked on the door and said, hi, I'm in second year and I want to write a story. And I think they did it to test me. They gave me a art gallery review downtown of something I had no idea what I was talking about, but I loved it. So I kept writing for the Queen's Journal, and then I was an assistant arts and entertainment editor, and then something crazy in my brain said, let's run this joint. So then I was editor-in-chief of the Journal in 1999-2000, and that opened up so many doors that while other kids were going back to college or going to get a master's in journalism, I instantly got a job in daily newspapers.
Yeah, and you also do social media for some small downtown businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Can you expand on this opportunity and explain what exactly it is you do for them?
So the thing about being in the media and wanting to work, whether it's in newspapers or radio, is you always sort of have to be looking for an opportunity and making connections. And when I lost my job, it was so important to be able to think, who have I met in the past 10 years that I can go back to and say, I need a new gig, here's what I can do. Because you never know that person who's seeing you host the Santa Claus parade, or whether you're hosting a charity event, that could be the next person who's going to hire you. So always putting your best foot forward. And I noticed one night I was on the website or the Facebook page for Harper's, and I wanted to send them a note saying, that was the best, most orgasmic burger of my life. And it hadn't been updated in a few weeks, and so there was no way to reach them. So I basically just said, you should have someone constantly Facebooking, tweeting, updating, answering your messages for you. And they said, you could be that person. So I wasn't necessarily looking for a gig, but I love food and I love downtown Kingston. So it was just a natural fit. So sometimes you just find these side projects that incorporate it all in together. So spending more time downtown means I know the city better, which means I have more to talk about in radio, which means I have more to do for my column. So it's all interconnected.
And I guess that's a benefit with social media, how everything is connected and how open you are to these new things that are around now that I guess weren't really available before. As a previous Queens student and a Kingston resident, do you have any recommendations for students to try, like a restaurant or an activity while they're in Kingston?
I think the great thing about staying here as a Kingstonian now, because a lot of kids don't stay, that's the fact that most Queens students leave when they're done, is you don't actually get to do all the things in Kingston that you necessarily should. So you get to see downtown, but you don't necessarily ever get to go to Sydenham and go on the walking trails, or you don't get to go to Gananoque and spend the day there. My favorite things to do in Kingston is to eat. We have the most incredible restaurants here. I would also say if you spend a summer here, you should go to the Thousand Islands Playhouse in Gananoque. It's this little tiny playhouse out on the water, and it is an amazing little place to just say, I can't believe this gem is here in our very own city. And what else would be special to do in Kingston? Brunch at Aqua is a must if you love creme brulee. And basically just getting to be here and seeing the city because there's so much to do.
And just to wrap up, do you have any memorable quotes from Queens that you'd like to share with us?
See, I have a stepdaughter who goes to Queens now, so I always sing her these songs that I think are still relevant, and she's like, no one sings those anymore. So I can still, every once in a while, do an oil thaw. If I see one breaking out late at night, I'll maybe join that. My best advice that sort of lived on at the Queen's Journal was just, Queens is it's a very large school, but it's a very small community. And what I learned at the Journal was that Queens students are always willing to help one another, and it's totally true. You could reach out to anyone right now who in the newspaper world works at the Globe and Mail, the Toronto Star, the National Post, and say, I work at the Queen's Journal too, and that person is going to say, come up to Toronto, let's do lunch, I'll show you the newsroom, and I'll introduce you to a bunch of people. And that's your first introduction into that world, and it's a foot in the door. And being able to put the Queen's experience out there and use it to help you get into the world is invaluable. And we've done that, and so, if someone is interested in radio or newspapers, lots of times I get an email to Blue saying, can we have coffee? And because people always said yes to me, then I will always say yes to them, and that person will say yes to the next generation of students as well.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in and doing this interview with us at Queens TV. I hope that you have success to come and that you continue to enjoy your radio adventures.
Thank you.